You're standing in the rain at a funeral for someone who died far too young. You hear the whispers in the crowd that they were simply too kind, too pure, too good for this sinful earth. That phrase is a documented cultural trope. For centuries, literature and media have relied on this exact idea to explain the deaths of the innocent. It centers on a specific archetype, the delicate, intensely sensitive, hyper-innocent character. Our brains experience severe cognitive dissonance because the idea of a random, unjust universe is too threatening to process. To force the world to make sense again, we often subconsciously blame the victim. We decide they must have asked for it or made a mistake, restoring a false sense of control by making the tragedy seem preventable. When we cannot find a single flaw to blame, we do the opposite. We elevate the victim to a martyr, claiming they were called away because they were too pure for this reality. Blaming the victim and declaring them an angel are both desperate stories we invent to give ourselves a false sense of control over random chance. The sensitivity we romanticize in these stories is actually a documented psychological temperament. In clinical terms, the delicate, highly reactive person of the myth often maps sophistry onto high levels of severe neuroticism. This UK Biobank study of nearly 500,000 participants linked high neuroticism to an increased risk of early death. Isolating the specific drivers, researchers found loneliness stood out as the most significant factor, carrying more weight than simple anxiety or irritability. The data shows that individuals experiencing severe loneliness face a 46% higher risk of dying prematurely. The delicate soul is frequently succumbing to the physiological destruction of stress and isolation, regardless of the plucked from earth myth. This brings us to a concept philosopher Thomas Nagel called moral luck, the reality that our outcomes in life are overwhelmingly dictated by factors entirely outside our control. Nagel illustrates this with a reckless driver. Imagine two identical drivers making the exact same negligent mistake. One driver swerves into a bird and walks away with a minor fine. The other swerves into a pedestrian and faces ruinous prison time. Luck regarding who is in the road determines the punishment for the exact same moral failure. The physical laws of the universe operate with that same blind luck. A disease or a car crash ignores a person's moral character. Humanity has been trying to cure this sense of helplessness for thousands of years. Ancient traditions, like the karmic view, rationalized suffering as the settling of a cosmic bank account from a previous life. These traditions framed premature tragedy as a divine tool to develop human morality or protect the righteous from future evil. Ancient theology and modern pop culture tropes are both human architectures. We built them to shield our minds from the indifference of the physical universe. Rabbi Harold Kushner offered a modern synthesis for this dilemma. He argued that we must reject the idea that the universe orchestrates the death of a good person as a test. Natural physical laws, like gravity, cellular biology, and thermodynamics, are neutral. They simply do not make exceptions for nice people. Kushner argues that the world is only livable because these laws are precise and reliable. If God routinely suspended the laws of nature to protect the righteous, the physical world would cease to function. The facts of life and death are neutral. The phrase, "too good for this earth," is a myth we use to hide from chaos. We assign meaning to suffering through our own actions. The legacy of a tragic death lives in how we treat each other to make a random world more